on this. Amazing. All right, let's go in. Welcome to the Becoming Unlimited podcast. This is your host, Urvashi, and today I have a very special guest for you. But before we dive in, I just want to open the space with a little bit of breath work. So if you can close your eyes, if you're in a safe space, take a moment just to check in with your body, whether you're seated or standing, and take a deep breath in through your nose, filling up your belly and out through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose. Really fill up your belly and expand your stomach, hold at the top and out through the mouth. And one final deep breath in through the nose, following the breath down all the way through your nasal passage, your lungs, into your belly. Expand that belly and hold at the top for me and out through the mouth. And you can open your eyes. So welcome to the show. Today, I have Gurjinder Bhogal with me. She is the magnetic marketer and a very good friend of mine and my soul sister. She's a marketing consultant, a quantum coach, and she has helped hundreds of female entrepreneurs create magic in their soul-led businesses, which is incredible. I love this woman, and I would call her your go-to marketing guru. So let's dig in. Hi, Gurjinder. How are you?
I am good. I am good. Really glad to be here. Actually, really honored to be here. So super, super excited for our conversation today.
And it's really exciting because you're my first ever guest.
Woohoo!
And what better person to have as my first?
Popping your cherry right now.
Literally popping my cherry. I love it. And I'm so glad it's you that's popping my cherry. So, okay, I'm going to start off with a question that I will be asking all my guests. And it's really simple. I want to know, what does it mean to you to be unlimited?
Ooh, unlimited. You know what? I feel for me, it's being the truest version of myself without anyone stopping me or holding me back.
Wow. Incredible. The truest version of yourself without anybody stopping you or holding you back.
Mm-mm.
Incredible. So how has that led you to this purposeful career that you've created in this marketing? So tell me more about kind of how you became this soul-led and entrepreneur.
I think, do you know what? One of the reasons I was very unlimited when I was younger. So I grew up with no limits.
Amazing.
And, blue sky thinking, all of that kind of stuff. And I think as life took over, I became more and more limited. And I really realized how limited I was. And I think it was when I became a mum. And actually, when I became a mum to a girl, so my second child, so not even my first, my second child, that I realized I don't want this for her. And I saw all my dreams and everything that I had as a young girl through her as a baby. And I was like, actually, I don't want that for her. So I need to show her what being unlimited is again. I had to remind myself what that was for myself. And I had to go back to my truth. And so I just started to make these small steps to figure out what my truth was again and what my unlimited life looked like again. And it kind of was, a series of events, because you start work. Well, actually, probably start sooner than that. You go to school, right? And you're limited. You go to school, you're limited. You go to university, you're limited. You start a job, you're limited. And without you even realizing, there's all these limitations set on you in your life. And you get married and you meet somebody and you're limited. You become a mom, you're limited. And I think it was when I had my second child that I just realized, oh my God, when did my life become so limited?
And you wanted to be this incredible, inspirational mother for your daughter, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to be this amazing person. I wanted her to be this amazing person. And I knew for her to become this amazing person, I had to step into that first. I had to show her what courage looked like to live on your terms, to live your truth and live that unlimited lifestyle. And I had to start it first. And it was really, really scary. And it still is. It still scares the bejesus out of me. Like, oh my God, what am I doing sometimes? But at the end of each night, I sleep peacefully.
Yes, I can imagine that you do actually.
Yeah.
Really
Knowing I'm my
lovely.
truest version of myself, I sleep well.
Oh, that's just incredible. So you talked about the steps you created or steps you took to find yourself again, so that you could be inspirational to your daughter and, you know and live your truth. So can you expand on some of those steps for us?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I didn't know what it was at first.
Okay.
So when I first realized I needed to do something, I didn't know what something was. I didn't know what that was. And first thing I knew I had to do was leave my corporate world. I was like, there's certain chains I need to break. I obviously can't break
Yeah.
my family bond. I can't break my marriage. I didn't want to. I was like, there's certain limitations that I can control. And one of them was the corporate world. And it was my job, actually. And I could either change to another job where I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have the same limitations on me again,
Mm,
or I take matters into my own hand and start doing things for myself. So I started my own business.
yeah.
And that's when I started to take my first step into taking back control of my life
Mm,
and realizing what an unlimited life looked like.
mm. So
But
sorry, carry on.
no, I was just going to say, but it wasn't until many years later, which I'm sure we'll go into, before I really understood what that meant.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because actually what you're talking about is that first stage of the Dharma journey, and that's that self-awareness, right? So you were so self-aware that you were limited and you weren't reaching your full potential, that you stepped out of that and you actually took a leap into the next stage, right? Into that self-improvement. So I actually want to ask you about your self-improvement journey, actually. So I know that you're quite a spiritual being, and you, within your business and within the clients that that you have and you work with, they're very soul aligned. So can you just expand on the spiritual side of your marketing business? Because, you know, a lot of people wouldn't put marketing and spirituality together, but you've somehow navigated that world and created this incredible, like, you know, container for women.
So one of the things with me is I only know marketing. I only know marketing. That's what I've trained in my entire life.
Yeah.
So when it came to starting my own business, my magic power, as it was marketing. I
Mm,
wasn't as gifted as a lot of spiritual beings are, or in the natural sense of gifts, whether it comes to psychic powers, channeling, Reiki, all of that kind of stuff.
mm,
I didn't have those gifts, but I had marketing gifts. And over time, I realized there was a certain type of woman that was obviously gravitating towards me, which was this soul-led woman
mm.
who obviously wanted to, and I'll use make money out of her gifts, but she wanted to call in this energetic exchange
Yeah.
through her gifts, but she didn't know how to do it. And she didn't know what language to use because, again, she probably came from a corporate world like I had. And the way we sell or ask for an exchange as spiritual business owners is very different to how other people do it. So I
Absolutely.
realized that actually I could bring the two together. I could help my soul sisters build amazing businesses using their amazing gifts, get them in the hands to more and more people by using my skills. And that was my way of kind of supporting more people, even though I didn't have the gift that,
Yeah.
my soul sisters had. I could absolutely be part of that ripple effect by just supporting them a little bit more.
That's beautiful. But I have heard through the grapevine that maybe these gifts
Oh my
are
God, right?
expanding in
I think I
you,
I think I
right?
messaged you.
Yeah, you did.
I think I messaged you about it, and I don't know what's happening, but hanging around all these amazing women is obviously activating lots of stuff in me as well, which involves me going inwards and
Yeah,
exploring a lot more of what that means.
that is absolutely stunning. So I want to change direction a little bit. And as we all know, well, you can't see us right now, but you might be watching us on video, but we are British born thissies. So one question I have for you is, obviously you've gone on this path where you haven't followed, like, potentially, you know, what is considered typical of a British born dissy. Like, you know, our mum and dads came to this country to give us that education, and our paths were lawyer, doctor, engineer, realistically, right? So I want to know from you if you faced any stereotypical expectations like this, and how you managed that when you started this new path of yours.
Yeah, well, forgetting you path, even in my teens. So when I was in my teens, I was very much into spirituality. So my spiritual journey started really, really early and really young. And I was quite lucky. I was number 3, lucky number 3. So I was the third daughter. Well, a third child. I was a second daughter, but a third child.
Yeah.
And you know, all the memes that you get about the third child, the rules don't apply to them, all of that kind of stuff. That was true for me.
It's
So
true.
nothing, yeah, it's so true. So my sister was the eldest and she had the most amount of strictness. And then we had a boy in the middle. And again, because he was the only son, he had to be like perfect. And, you know, when I came along, they were like, do you know what? We've been hard on the other two. Let's let this one just do what she wants.
Exactly.
But I think it came to kind of when I got to probably about A levels, and my brother and sister were studying maths and sciences and all of this stuff. And I was like, well, I want to study French. I want to do psychology and sociology. Wow. And they're like, well, the what? I was like, it's still a science. Don't worry. It's still a science. And I just remember that there was pressure on me to just do what everybody else was doing, because my sister was going off and studying engineering at university. My brother was going off and studying economics. And there's me going, well, I'd love to have a gap year. And they're like, a what?
Like, what's a gap year?
What's a gap year? So it started off really, really young. And to be honest, I did conform a little bit because I was actually a high school dropout. Not a lot of people know this. I didn't actually go to university, so I don't even have a degree. My dad didn't know this.
How did you keep that from your dad?
For many years. I still think he doesn't know. So I hope he's not spiritually listening into this conversation, but I really just don't think he even realizes. There was a picture of me at my brother or sister's graduation where I wore their graduation hat and robes, and I think he thought I'd graduated. But anyway, we won't go to that. So I actually left school after high school and didn't go to university. And I felt then I had something to prove, because I didn't want my story to be that I'm a high school dropout. So then the obvious choice back then was to throw yourself into work.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't conform to the societal, you know, demands, I think I probably did in a way, because I was hell-bent on having a really successful career.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anyone to say, oh, it's because you didn't go to uni, or it's because you didn't do this. So I then threw myself into work, threw away all my spirituality, went as, you know, further away as I could from what really was me, and just threw myself into work. And at the beginning, I got lots and lots of success. So all through my 20s, I had an amazing, amazing life. But as soon as I started making choices and changes, and my path started to go in different directions, I could tell I had that hook on my back. My spirituality was calling me back.
Yeah.
My truth was calling me back, and I knew something had to change.
Yeah.
So I just didn't think it was going to happen too soon. I thought I'd get to a like 80 or something, and I could have seen through my whole career and all of that stuff, but it just happened too early, so early.
So would you say that when you started this, okay, you've dropped some real like exclusive truth bombs there. Like, I never went to university. I don't have a degree.
Podcast.
I know.
Absolutely, I was going to do it.
My dad thinks I graduated. Rest in peace. Do you know what I mean? But did you find that kind of your mum and your siblings and people around you were like, what the hell are you doing with your life? You know, you need to maybe go back to uni. You need to be that, you know, doctor, or go on a journey of economics, whatever, like your brother did. Like, did you ever get any of that feedback?
All the time. And do you know what? Bless my mum. Like my mum, like I love her to bits. And she was just like, can't you just do the right thing? Can't you just do this for me? And I'm like, no, I can't. And the worst thing is, I'm my dad's daughter. And I'm like, you guys shouldn't have brought me up the way you did if you wanted me to listen to you, because you brought me up not to listen to anyone. So there was like my mum, especially when everybody was graduating and they were lawyers, they were doctors. They were, you know, they had these really high profile careers and jobs and, you know, all of this stuff. And back then, so going back 20 years, no one knew what marketing was. People don't even know what it is now, let alone back then. So when my mum was like, she's in marketing, everyone's like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that? And back then, marketing was very PR related. It was very glamorous. So it looked like to them, I was just going out all the time and having a good time. And they were like, how can that be a proper job? And how can that be a proper career? So I did get it a lot. And oftentimes I had to keep asking myself as well, am I doing the right thing? If everyone around me seems so unhappy, am I really doing the right thing? And I guess I was really selfish because I was like, well, as long as I'm happy, that's what matters, right? As long as I'm happy. And I just stuck with that. It's how I feel. And I'm happy with the life that I've got. So I'm going to stick with that. And also one thing, when all my friends left uni, they had massive debt. And by that time, I had an amazing job and I was earning really, really well. So I was like, do you know what? This is all the validation I needed, that I haven't got all this debt and I'm in an amazing job. And that was me good.
That was amazing. So at that point of you going, I'm going to start my business, what made you go there? You were happy in your job. You were happy doing the things you were doing. You were making money. You weren't in debt. What was that trigger?
My boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you know what? I had a boss and for ages, Ush, I used to hate him. And I even used to post about it on my social media.
Oh, did
and
you?
My mum even used to message me saying, you can't write that. You can't write that on your Instagram. And I'm like, yes, I can. And I want to, because for ages, I own the story that he made my life a misery. But actually, he was a pivotal person in me owning my truth and walking my truth path. And when I became a mum, he was a very old school boss. So he expected you in the office at 8 o'clock. He expected you not to leave until 6 o'clock. And I was like, hold a minute. So I will see my kids when. And it started to become a real challenge when I became kids. And, you know, there's lots of things that went on with the company around, you know, females in business coming back. Even with my son, I had to be back in the office in 6 months. Like I only had 6 months off with my first child. And my son was in childcare for about, this is probably the hardest thing I find talking about. My son was in childcare for about 10 hours a day. And when I knew something was wrong was when he used to call me by his key worker's name. And I'll never forget that. He used to call me Raj because he didn't know what mum was. He didn't know what the word mum was because I was just never around. And I was like, hold a minute, I've got this boss that I absolutely hate that's keeping me away from my son. And my son doesn't even know what mum, like, what is this that I'm doing? All around me, what I'm seeing is all these other mums saying, you can have it all. You can be working and you can have your kids and you can do all of this. And I'm like, who are these women that are having it all? And why can't I have it all?
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing something wrong. So I just kept playing the game. And it was only when I had my second child and as soon as I found out she was a girl, that penny dropped for me then, that I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to make some moves. And the seed got planted that something had to be done. And to be honest, at first I started looking for other jobs because I thought it was my boss that was a problem. I thought he was the issue. I'm not the issue, he's the issue. So I'm going to change him. So I started to just change jobs and I realized actually it's not the job, it's not the boss, they're not the issue, it's me. And if I want something different with my life, I'm the one that has to go and create whatever it is I want.
Absolutely. So once look at what you're doing right now. It's incredible, right? Like hundreds of women have come through your doors and you've changed their lives through, you know, I know that you do photo shoots. I know you do marketing days, you do CEO days, you do, you know, you've got your membership and you've got so much more that people can, different ways in which women can work with you, which I think is, you're serving, but you're serving with love and all this knowledge. So I applaud you completely. So when you did that, you realized that you needed to get out and you knew you had this marketing gift, right? At what point and what was it that went, I'm going to help Asian women and soul-led businesses?
I think that was then lockdown. So for the first, I actually started my business pre-lockdown. So it was 2018 when I started my business.
Okay.
And up until lockdown, I was just working back with corporates, and I'd probably bought myself a job. So I was still doing longer hours, but it was more around my kids.
Yeah.
So it was still really, really flexible. And this is probably the reason why I offer so much support that I do, because when I first started out, there was nothing available, absolutely nothing available. You were literally like a lone ranger trying to do business, and it was just really, really crazy. And I think it was when lockdown happened and I started an Instagram page in lockdown. So I started my Instagram page 2020, April 24th, 2020
Oh,
was my
wow.
first post. I remember it so clearly. That was my first post. And I remember just starting to do, like, putting my pictures out, starting to go into Facebook groups, go live, just tell people what I was doing. And women just started coming towards me and gravitating towards me. And I was like, okay, there's something in this. And I realized I absolutely loved working with them. And I was like, I didn't even know there was such a thing as an Asian female entrepreneur. I was like, what is this term? I didn't even know it. And I was like, oh, I really want to support these women. And they just weren't getting the support that they wanted in wherever they were. So, so that's where it all started from.
Yeah, that's an incredible journey. Like, so did you not have an Instagram account pre-April 24th, 2020? Not even a personal one?
No.
Oh, wow. So Instagram's very new for you.
So new for me.
Wow.
I don't even know how to create a reel. If this
Okay,
makes
so who
anyone
creates
feel
the
any
reel?
better, I do not know how to create a reel. I have got a team who does it for me, but I myself would not know how to do one. So I'd be lost.
That's incredible that you have then invested in yourself as well, right? So what made you invest in yourself through the people that maybe help you with your business, or the education that the extra education that you've maybe gone and received?
I realized that if I want my people to make moves, I have to make them first. So I have to show them what moves they need to make to build a successful business. So I do it first. So I do all the scary moves first. I throw all my toys out the pram. I get all the fear out the way first so that I can then hold and support my people when they do it. And I know exactly what will be going through their mind. So one of the things that, obviously I started outsourcing very early on in my business. 2 years ago, I started outsourcing, and it was because of what happened with my dad, actually, that I realized I needed to build a very different business. And so I knew how I felt when all the money I was getting in was going out to other people to build my business. So I know what that feels like energetically. So then when I get my clients to do that, I can hold them safely while they go through all the feels that they go through when they make that decision or make that move. So that's why I do it, because that's the only way other people are going to grow if I do it first.
So you're a leader, right? By proof. You're leading with the proof that you have done it and you can hold that space.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it was because of your dad. Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah. So 2 years ago now, my dad passed, and it was January. And I was literally in the midst of a launch. I was launching my first ever group program, and it was literally going to be the best thing ever. I think I only got a couple of signups to it. So I knew something was coming. And then obviously when my dad passed, I was like, there's no way I can energetically hold the energy for these people in this kind of space, because I was grieving and I needed the time to heal. And by this point, I'd built my business up. So I'd already got a community of people coming up. I was working with people one-to-one, and I was like, I can either just retract and take a step back and just watch all of this crumble down, or I can rise higher and make the moves I need to make, which was bringing on some team that could help me. So team and even some services that could help me, give me space and time to grieve. And that's exactly what I'd done. It was built on my own requirements that I had, that I needed to heal. I needed time to heal, but I didn't want to lose my business and lose all these women that were literally looking up to me. I think I had a Facebook group of like 600 people at this point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, do you know what? I've brought them all this far and I don't want to now tell them, but you know what? As soon as trauma happens, it's fine to just go away. I was like, I can't do that. That's not what I'm about. I was like, I do need the space, but I want to show them that you can live side by side. You can live with your adversity, you can live with your trauma, and you can still do all of the things that you want to do as well.
Yeah. So with all of that encompassed, what I'm getting from that is also, you know, your business took time. So can you, for those who are interested in maybe launching their own businesses or something, just explain how much time went into building this business of the, you know, we all say have your own business, you'll have the freedom of your own hours. So can you explain if it was simply build my business, freedom of hours, or, you know, what were the steps? Because now I see you as having this freedom, right? You've just come back from Cyprus, I think it was.
Greece.
Yeah, Greece, exactly that.
Cousins,
so
right?
yeah, exactly. Well, it depends. North Cyprus would not be a cousin. That's Turkey, right? But yeah, so like, you know, building that business, like, does it just go straight into freedom, or how do you create that? Like,
no. So, you know, I'm year 5 in business, and a lot of people compare their year 1, year 2 with my year 5. But honestly, compare your year 1 to year 2 with my year 1, year 2, and it would be a very different story. So before I had team, I was doing everything myself. So, you know, the 10, 12, 14-hour days, whatever it took to build my business, I was doing that. I was going out everywhere. There were times where my business took me away from my family. So where I was like, oh my God, I wanted to spend more time with my family. What's going on? It was actually taking me away from my family even more. There were times where I wasn't getting paid. Yeah. And I wanted to invest in business, and I had to take on certain contracts and do all of this kind of stuff. So there's lots of things that you have to do. And one thing I learned was, yes, it could take you 5 years to get somewhere, but if you get support sooner, you'll probably get there a lot quicker. So a lot of the people I work with now are in the same position as I am now, but they're in year 2 or year 3 because they've learned from me. Yeah, they've just learned from me. And even when my business really accelerated was when I got support, when I asked for help, when I just said to somebody, do you know what? Can you just help me? Can you help me get to where I want to go? And they helped me, because sometimes when you are a business owner, especially when you're so gifted, and you've got this magical gift, that's your zone of genius. The admin isn't your zone of genius. The marketing isn't your zone. The sales, you know, all of that kind of stuff, the reels, the, you know, editing, all of that stuff isn't your zone of genius. And if you're trying to do all of that stuff, it's really taking up your energy and it's draining you and it's slowing you down. So if you really want accelerated growth, it's all about reaching out and getting the help. It's exactly like healing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You want to heal quicker and faster, get the help.
I 100% agree, because when I was running my personal training business, it was only when I invested in someone to help me grow that business that I actually had this quantum leap. Now, bring that in because you're a quantum coach. Explain to us what a quantum coach, I know. Explain to us what a quantum coach is, please, because I think a lot of people won't know what that quantum leap or quantum coach, you know, what it actually means for us.
Yeah. So quantum coaching is essentially where I take you back to your soul space. Wow. And we all come here for a reason, right? We've all come here. We're not just here for a pretty life, because let's face it, Earth isn't a pretty life. You know, there's suffering going on out there. There is poverty, there's hunger, there's child trafficking, there's murder, you know, there's wars, there's everything going on in this world. Yeah. We wouldn't choose this world for any other reason, but knowing that we could help it in some way, knowing that we could help our people in some way. That's the reason why we came here. I know my sole purpose is to help my sisters. I've seen my sisters with these magical gifts that are struggling to get their gifts in the hands of more people. And that's where I come in to help with that struggle. Beautiful. And what quantum coaching does is it supports you with your soul's purpose and just to carry out your mission. carry out whatever mission you're here on, and combining that with marketing, it's just a really powerful tool, especially if you're a business owner, especially if your gift is what is your calling in your abundance and what you're using to build your business with. And yeah, I guess that's in a nutshell. And where the quantum leap comes in is when you understand your soul's mission, and when you understand why you're here. This is how you move fast. This is how the timelines, everything starts to just get out of your way, and you start to quantum leap and make massive, massive shifts in your life as well as in your business.
Yeah. So it's like you start at like mile 1, but you get to mile 10 and it's like this huge leap because everything's just happened for you
it's
immediately.
Like 0 to 60 in 10 seconds.
She's fast and furious, ladies.
It really is. It's like that. 0 to 60, it can get you there. But where it is, what it isn't is it's not 0 to 60 in 10 seconds and then back to 0 again in 15 seconds.
Okay.
That's quantum leaping, right? Quantum leaping is getting you to 0 to 60. Quantum transformation is keeping you at 60 then.
Wow.
And even though we work on quantum leaping you into wherever we want to go, what I try and do is keep you there and make sure that quantum leap is an actual quantum transformation.
This is incredible. Like, this is the work I do with my soul purpose clients, right? But maybe I haven't used that quantum, quote unquote, the word quantum. I think it's...
You can have it.
Thank you. Will you adorn me with that word now? We'll get a sword out and everything, Oh my God, I absolutely love that. So I want to go back to being an Asian woman in a British-born society. Now, a lot of us feel this imposter syndrome, right? And I just want to know your thoughts on that, as in, why we feel it, and maybe, what is a really good way of overcoming that? Because in you, I don't see any imposter syndrome. I see this incredible woman. I believe you're a manifesting generator, right? As well.
Projector.
Oh, you're a projector. Oh, I need to do some research. I don't know enough about projectors. I'm going to go and get my human design book out in a minute. So yeah, explain, just kind of in your own words, as an Asian woman in Britain, how do you feel your life has been? Has it been harder? Have you had that imposter syndrome? Have you had to work that extra harder to get where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. And I think for years and years and years, I didn't even understand what cultural conditioning was until probably about last year. Okay. And I didn't even realize I'd been culturally conditioned. And, little things like serving the teas. So in boardrooms, when we used to have meetings, I'd be the one that would go and grab the teas. Wow. And I'd be like, why the hell am I doing that? We were taking down notes and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. Because it was all the people pleasing that you were doing. And I was like, oh my God, a lot of this stuff was just holding us back because we were so conditioned and we didn't even realize it. And not only are we conditioned, but oh my God, I'm passing it on. I always get my daughter to do stuff, and I genuinely get her to do stuff because my son wouldn't do it. She's the only one that would do it. But for her, she's feeling it. She's like, why do you always ask me to do it? And I was like, oh my God, it's got nothing to do with the fact that you're a girl. It's just because you're the only one that would actually do it. Yeah. I'm really, really aware of it now. And I actually remember just when I was in Greece last week, we were sat around a conversation. Now there's lots of rooms where I'm the only Asian woman. And I'm in so many spaces, so many rooms where I'm the only Asian woman. And I do actually have imposter syndrome. And I do experience everything that everyone else experiences, but I'm not letting it hold me back. And I just find the courage that I have to go into a space. So when I went to Greece, part of my trip was with complete strangers. And I didn't know who any of these people were. And we were coming together. That's massive imposter syndrome that, oh my God, I'm going to be in this room with these amazing people. And I remember someone made a comment there that if we'd done another trip like this, how would it work with me and my kids? And I'm like, what do you mean? And it was very much an Asian comment about me being Asian.
From a non-Asian person.
From a non-Asian person. And I'm like, I'm already here without my kids. And I'm probably here longer than you guys. without my kids. And it's just that vibe that we probably give off, or that understanding that people have of, we're all about kids and families and whatever. And I'm like, no, I've left mine behind to be here.
And how did you initially react to that statement?
I couldn't understand it. Like, I genuinely didn't understand it. And then I had to probe a little bit. And then I found out it was because of my commitments with my family, my kids. I'm like, I don't get that, because I'm here without them.
So then do you think that non-Asian people or non-people of color of a different descent maybe have perception of us in a certain way, so that they haven't got the education that we are exactly like them? It's just that our skin's different color.
Bit of both. So yes, but they got that from somewhere. So maybe the majority of Asian women they speak to always use husband, family, and kids as an excuse not to do stuff. So if we want to change the narrative, we have to start changing our narrative. We're using that kind of stuff as excuses too much if people are then having that perception of us.
But also media gives them that perception of us, right? If you look at the families in EastEnders or any other program on TV, it's always the wife at home cooking, cleaning, looking after the children, you know, and the Asian husband is in his little corner shop doing his corner shop thing. So actually, it's not just us, it's actually the media is portraying us. And Asian people in like any film, you know, not now as so much, but back in the day, like think about East is East and Goodness Gracious Me, and you know, all those things that were put out there, even by us Asians, portrayed us like that as well. So yeah, you're right. You're right. It's absolutely
There's not
true.
enough of us leading the way into showing people something different. So, you know, I don't know about you, Ush, as well, in the spaces you're in terms of where you're getting your training and your teachings, how many Asian people are in those spaces. But I know with me, I'm probably the only one in the spaces that I'm ever in.
Yeah.
And that is an eye-opener.
Yeah, I grew up in a very white town. So I was the only Asian. And if I'm honest with you, for a long time, I didn't realize I was different. Apart from when it was Diwali or there was like Navratri or some other celebration where, you know, I went to a Church of England school and it was like, oh, come in your sari and bring in some samosas. And I was like, now I'm different. But you know, I never got made to feel that I'm different. So when I'm in a group of, like, you know, you were in that room full of, you know, non-Asian women, maybe probably predominantly white women, I would feel completely comfortable in that. But the funny thing is, I went to Nottingham once, right? And I went out on a night out. This is ridiculous.
Surrounded by Asians.
Surrounded by Asians. And I was like a deer in headlights. I was like, what's going on here? Like,
Were you like the only white person there?
I was the only white person in the room. It's ridiculous. But you know what? Like, I think as I got older, I got more into my culture, and also developing and getting my spiritual awakening has definitely led me more to my kind of ethnic culture, like, you know, the Hinduism and Buddhism and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing. Anyway, we have to wrap up soon, but I want to ask, I know it's gone so quick.
Right. We could just gasp for ages though, couldn't we?
We'll do that later. So I want to ask you, like, for everyone listening, can you give us one tip or piece of advice to anyone who wants to follow their dreams right now and is too scared to?
Do you know what? Oh gosh, yeah. Just it starts with one step. And your dreams, whatever they are, your dreams, that reality you're trying to create, is literally a series of small steps away. That's all it is. It's nothing big. It's literally a series of small steps that will get you to where you want to go. So just know what is that first step you need to take and take it from there. After you've taken that first step, what is that next step? What is that next step? And just build the life that you want to build, because absolutely no one out there is going to do it for you. So just go out there, take that next step.
And don't be afraid to dream, right? Exactly.
Never, ever, honestly. And, you know, I never, ever imagined that I would be creating the life that I'm creating. And there's probably so much more that I haven't even realized yet that is even my potential. But honestly, it's so good. It's so good when you get there. It's so good when you get on that path of no return.
Yeah.
I could never go back to corporate now. I'm on that path of no return. And as soon as you're on that path, it feels limitless. It feels absolutely limitless.
Incredible. You inspire me. I'm so thankful that you said yes to this little podcast. And, you know, I'm sure that you've inspired everyone who's listening. So how can people get in touch with you? Share your socials.
Oh, come on over to Instagram now that I am a bit more experienced. I'm 3 years in now. I know a little bit more. So come and hang out with me on Instagram. I'm at the.magnetic marketer on Instagram, and I'd love to catch you over there.
Incredible. So yeah, so if you didn't hear that right, that's the .magnetic marketer on Instagram. You'll find Gurjinder Bhogal on there. And honestly, she is so inspirational. She is someone that I cannot wait to get more and more in tune with when it comes to my own, you know, coaching and my own business. So, you know, connect with her and she will help you grow. So thank you so much for your time.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone for listening.
Incredible. So what I'm going to do now is just close the space with 3 more breaths, if that's okay with you. So if you can just close your eyes, just ground yourself into the seat below you, pick your toes up and place them down, and take a nice deep breath in through the belly, out through the mouth. Feel that heart rate go in through the mouth, into the nose, sorry, out through the mouth. One more deep belly breath. Hold at the top and out through the mouth. Just remember that you are wonderful, you're incredible, you're inspirational to other people, and that you are. Thank you so much for listening. This is Urvashi, out for another podcast.